Late-night deliveries gone wrong. It was almost 1 a.m. one night, and I was out making late-night DoorDash deliveries. The night had been relatively quiet, with just a few orders here and there. I had just dropped off an order at a house not far from my location. The house was dark when I arrived, so I left the food at the door, took a picture for proof, and left. Shortly after, I got another delivery request. It was a Taco Bell order, but to my surprise, the address was the same as the one I had just delivered to. This struck me as odd because back-to-back deliveries to the same address were uncommon. I assumed they might still be hungry and accepted the order. When I arrived, the house remained dark, and the building looked more like a converted apartment complex with stairs leading up to a second-floor entrance. The delivery instructions specified that I hand the order directly to the customer and come to the upstairs door. Immediately, an unsettling feeling crept over me. Why would someone order from two different places so late at night and pay double delivery fees, especially when the restaurants were just a few feet apart? It didn't make sense, but I shrugged it off, thinking I was overthinking things. Still, I approached cautiously. Instead of heading up the stairs, I peeked through one of the first-floor windows. I saw a muted TV flickering in the living room and a candle burning on a table. The place looked empty, but I sensed someone inside. I sent a text to notify the customer that I had arrived, but no one answered the phone buzzing on the end table. The whole situation felt wrong. I decided to leave the food on the steps of the first floor rather than climbing up to the second level. After taking a picture for proof of delivery, I turned to leave. As I walked away, I heard a man's voice yell from inside, "Hurry up! She's leaving!" A chill ran down my spine. I rushed back to my car, locked the doors, and prepared to leave. While backing out, I noticed two figures standing in the window, watching me. One of the downstairs doors was slightly ajar, which added to the unease. The whole thing felt like a setup, and I couldn't shake the feeling that if I had gone upstairs, I might have been trapped. I called DoorDash support to report the incident, and thankfully, they marked the location as unsafe. Encounters in dangerous areas. Another time, I was assigned a delivery to a rundown area. The address led me to a dilapidated hospital that looked abandoned. The instructions directed me to deliver to a courtyard in the back. As I approached, I saw three men hiding behind pillars, peering out toward the main entrance. Luckily, I had unknowingly taken a back route and avoided walking straight into them. I quickly returned to my car, reported the incident, and ended my shift for the day. The trailer park threat. Once, I delivered to a trailer park on the outskirts of town. The customer didn't answer the door, so I left the order outside and returned to the restaurant. However, the customer later called the store, furious, and threatened to harm delivery drivers if anyone came back to his address. It turned out the man had a history of erratic behavior and was known to own firearms. From then on, we avoided delivering to his trailer, but other drivers and I remained wary whenever we had orders in that area. Stalker deliveries and harassment. After moving to a new city, I started receiving deliveries I hadn't ordered. The receipts had my name and address, but the phone number was unrecognizable. The deliveries escalated, and the person behind them began calling me incessantly and harassing me on social media. The harassment stopped only after I moved. To this day, I remain cautious about answering unknown calls or opening the door to unexpected visitors. A creepy FedEx driver. At a previous job, my coworkers and I dealt with a FedEx driver who frequently crossed boundaries. He made comments about personal details, like where I lived and packages I received, which made me feel uneasy. One evening, he parked outside my house and lingered, watching me. I reported him to FedEx, and after an investigation, he was fired. It later came to light that he had been stalking multiple women. These experiences taught me to trust my instincts and prioritize safety above all. Whether it's recognizing red flags in delivery requests or avoiding suspicious individuals, staying vigilant is crucial. It had been some time since Jeff had been fired, and though I felt relieved that he was no longer a looming presence in my life, his unsettling behavior left a lasting impact. I had grown more cautious and vigilant, not just at work but in my personal life as well. Even months after his departure, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I started to notice subtle changes in my daily routine. I avoided walking alone to my car after work, especially during the darker hours. If I had errands to run, I would always let someone know where I was going and when I'd be back. My daughters, too, had become more aware of their surroundings. They would double-check the locks and never answer the door unless they were sure of who was on the other side. Though there were no more direct encounters, the psychological toll lingered. Every time a FedEx truck drove by, I would freeze for a moment, my heart racing until I confirmed it wasn't Jeff. It felt almost absurd to be so affected by someone who, for all intents and purposes, was out of my life. But his actions had planted a seed of distrust that was difficult to uproot. One evening, as I was closing up the boutique, I noticed a car idling across the street. Its headlights were off, but the engine was running. I couldn't make out the driver, and though I tried to ignore it, the unease was palpable. I quickly locked up and hurried to my car, keeping my phone in hand, ready to call for help if needed. The car didn't follow me, but the paranoia had already set in. When I got home, I shared the experience with my daughters, and we decided to install security cameras around the house. The added layer of protection helped us feel safer, but I knew it wouldn't completely erase the fear. Over time, the memories of Jeff and his unsettling behavior began to fade, replaced by the normalcy of daily life. However, the lessons he inadvertently taught me remained. I became more assertive about setting boundaries and trusting my instincts. If something felt wrong, I acted on that feeling without second-guessing myself. Looking back, I sometimes wonder if Jeff truly realized the discomfort he caused or if he was entirely oblivious. Either way, I'm grateful that his chapter in my life came to an end before things escalated further. Life moved on, but the experience served as a constant reminder of the importance of vigilance and self-preservation in a world where not everyone has good intentions. As weeks turned into months, life regained some semblance of normalcy. The boutique thrived, and my daughters and I found comfort in our routines. The new security measures gave us peace of mind, and I tried my best to focus on the positive aspects of life. Yet, every now and then, something would bring Jeff back to the forefront of my mind. A package left on the porch, an unfamiliar face in the store, or even a strange phone call. It was as if he lingered in the shadows, a specter haunting the edges of my awareness. One rainy afternoon, as I was sorting through inventory in the shop, a customer entered, a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, with a wiry frame and a disheveled appearance. His eyes darted around the boutique, as though he were searching for something, or someone. "Can I help you with anything?" I asked, keeping my tone friendly but professional. He hesitated before answering, his voice low and gravelly. "Just looking." I nodded and returned to my task, but I kept an eye on him. Something about his demeanor felt off. He lingered in the store longer than most customers, occasionally glancing in my direction. Finally, he approached the counter. "Do you know someone named Jeff?" he asked abruptly. My heart skipped a beat. "Why do you ask?" He shrugged, his expression unreadable. "He mentioned this place once. Said it was nice." I forced a smile, trying to keep my composure. "I'm sorry, I don't think I can help you." The man nodded, as if he had expected that answer, and left without another word. As soon as the door closed behind him, I locked it and called the police. I didn't know if the man was connected to Jeff or if it was just a coincidence, but I wasn't willing to take any chances. The officer who arrived to take my statement reassured me that I had done the right thing. "It's always better to be safe," he said. "We'll keep an eye out for anyone matching his description." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the encounter in my mind, wondering if Jeff was somehow behind it. Had he sent this man to intimidate me? Or was it just a random stranger who happened to mention his name? The uncertainty was maddening.